Before proceeding to our speech of our chief guest, which is much awaited, I'd like to make information for all the participants that there will be e-certificates for every participant, which will be issued to everyone who's present today. And secondly, I'd like to request the following students to rename their names in the following way, so that they could have their attendance. For first semester student, one John Moody, please rename your name as Barbhuiya 121. And for third semester students, third John Moody as Barbhuiya 121. And for fifth semester students, please rename your name for further manner so that we could give you the e-certificates. Okay, thank you so much. For every participant, there will be e-certificates available for you. So we'd like to request you to stay with us till the end of our webinar. And for students, those of you who do not have renamed your names properly, I'd like to request you to rename your name so that we could have your attendance as well. So now we'll proceed to our much awaited program of today, that is a speech from our respected chief guest, Professor Jagdish Kumar Patnaik. Sir, thank you so much for being with us here today. And I believe every participants are also very excited to listen to your presentation. So I now give time over to Professor Jagdish Kumar Patnaik to deliver his speech. So you may take your time.
Thank you very much. I thank the principal of the college, Professor Abdul Hannan Barbhuiya. My thanks are to all the participants over here who have been eagerly waiting to listen to me. I don't know whether I can do justice. Today is a very important day, National Education Day, to commemorate the birth anniversary of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, the former Education Minister of India. You listen to the keynote speaker who did touch upon the little bit of contribution that Abul Kalam Azad did in terms of the national education policy. We have at present a new education policy in place, NEP 2020. The NEP is a comprehensive vision document incorporating one of the important ingredients that was missing all these years. That is, it is trying to go back to the roots of Indian civilization. The intention of this policy is to make India a knowledge superpower. As you are aware of the fact that the 21st century belongs to Asia and more specifically to India. And this new education policy is tailored, keeping that in mind. It is also important to underscore that the policy touches upon, or rather incorporates, the necessary nuances that we require to cope up with the fourth industrial revolution. It is a policy to regain our past glory, adopting the cutting edge knowledge as a basis. So in order to become a global superpower, how to face the inner contradictions that were present in the Indian education ecosystem. That was the main issue that the members of the committee who drafted this policy were thinking upon. I had a privilege of, listening to them several times through these webinars after this NEP has been accepted. And I was, very much impressed with the kind of hard work they have put in, take into account the various issues that we are facing at the moment, particularly in the education sector. The present scenario that is available in India, particularly in the education sector, is kind of problematic. There are fragmented higher education ecosystem. There is less emphasis on cognitive development or the development of cognitive skills or learning outcomes. There is a rigid separation of disciplines with early specialization. Limited access to the socio-economically disadvantaged people. Very few higher education institutions teach in the local languages. I'll come to these issues, of course, slowly. And there is limited teacher and institutional autonomy. That is the scenario that the members of the committee were confronted with. And in order to counter those contradictions, these complexities, or the problems, if you want to say, this new education policy, which is a very small document, all of you might have seen by now, a 64-page document. And with regard to higher education, there are only very few paragraphs devoted, paragraph 9 to 24, if I'm correct. Roughly 14 to 15 paragraphs are devoted to higher education. But remember, this is a vision document, and the real task lies in implementing those vision policies that are outlined in these paragraphs. But before that, let me speak a little bit about under what principles this national has been framed. The whole idea is to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action. Human beings with compassion and empathy, courage and resilience. At the same time, children have to have scientific temper and creative imagination. Sound ethical moorings and values. In short, to prepare citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society. This is the basic, this is the principle which guided the members of the committee, on the basis of which they delineated these. I will not come at the moment the problems with regard to specifically bear with me, within a few minutes, I'm coming to that issue. But what are the important highlights of this education policy and how it benefits the students? That I want to speak. Because the title, Problems and Prospects, the policy does say, by providing a holistic education, a multidisciplinary education, it provides the to be put in place for that purpose. All capacities of human beings, intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and an integrated manner. There in the previous policies, I do not want to touch on that. At the end of the day, the main emphasis is on quality education, opportunities for individual employment, flexibility in curriculum, integrated humanities, integration of humanities with STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. Because remember, the modern civilization has grown because of the STEM. And STEM has to be given due importance. While giving importance to STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, we have to also remember the importance of our social moorings, our cultural moorings, our roots. Our education system should not be delinked from the roots, from our civilization. In the education policy document, there has been clear mention about how in the ancient times, Indian education system was at its peak, and they have mentioned the names of Nalanda, Takshashila, and other institutions, large institutions, large universities, to which many people from abroad used to come and have their pursuit for knowledge. I don't say education, because in the university system, we do pursue knowledge, and that knowledge is meant to enable individuals to live a comfortable and happy life. Happiness index has to be high, and comfort is important. Materialism is there. Materialistic development is required, but at the same time, you need to have happiness. Now, so vocational education is also important, because it will enable you to have employability. This document emphasizes on vocational education. And there is a flexibility. Just let me inform this audience that in the next academic council, scheduled to be held on the 24th, I don't know the principal sub is a member, he will attend it, I think. We are going to introduce some of this educational policy, some ingredients. Like, as I've told you, this education policy is a very flexible, having the flexibility for the students to exit and also to entry into different classes. As you are aware, I think all of you are aware, but let me tell you, as per this education policy, there are this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, not 10 plus 2 system. So this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, at the 4, because I'm talking about higher education, the 4 years will have 4 types of degrees. If you are entering in the first year and exiting in the first year, you'll get a certificate. If you're exiting in the second year, you are getting a diploma. If you're exiting in the third year, you are becoming a graduate. And in the 4th year, if you do research, you get a research degree, which will help you, not help you, it will enable you to take admission in the master's program, in the postgraduate program, in the final year. So this is a kind of multiple exit and entry system, which provides the flexibility for the students. Why do they have this? Because some students may not be having that resource to continue for 4 years or 3 years. They may go for jobs and come back, and there is academic credit bank system that is there. They're going to have it. Means the credits that you get in the first year, that will be saved. And if you are having the second year or third year, then those credits will be taken into account and you will be provided with a degree. So this is a most flexible document, a flexible system that will be put in place. And we in Mizoram University, we are going to put up this in the next academic council. And this, of course, we have got certain caveats. I don't say that the Saiha College can adopt it immediately. I don't say that all the colleges in Mizoram will adopt immediately. But the purpose is to allow those colleges who are having at least 2, 3, 4 PhD degree holders as teachers, if they would like to accept this package, they can adopt it. I'm talking about the affiliated colleges of Mizoram University. As a Vice Chancellor, as a responsible person, actually, I have put in my mind over this. And we would like to allow those colleges to adopt this new system. Regarding this syllabus, we will have the same syllabus. Regarding the credit system, we will have the same credit system. So you are not going to change so much at the moment, because we are going to implement it from 2021. So this next academic council, 24th of this month, we are going to adopt that in the academic council. So this flexibility affords the opportunity to the individual to take the freedom, to have the freedom to adopt any kind of vocation or any kind of education one can have. Here I want to again tell you the holistic education system, liberal arts system, which is also one of the important principles of policy. A student of chemistry can study sociology. A student of physics can study music. So a student has the freedom and also will have the opportunity to develop his critical skills. Now, besides this, I also want to bring in some of the I'm sorry, there is constant, interruptions. This internet disruptions. let me tell you, the key speaker did touch upon the multidisciplinary universities and colleges. There are apprehensions about that, but I will talk about that later. There is an important highlight of this educational policy is use of local language, a regional language, or Indian language as a medium of instruction. And there is a institutional and functional autonomy. There is a need to have, which this policy highlights, to revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support. In this education policy, there is reaffirming the integrity of the faculty and institutional leadership. A little bit higher also I will touch upon. That is going to set up a national research foundation, which is an apex body, and there will be single regulator of higher education. There will be a national it will be a kind of national higher education commission. Under that there would be 4 verticals. Those verticals means there will be small, there will be 4 organizations. One for accreditation, one for funding, one for learning outcome, one for teacher education. So there are so many issues that are there in this. It is very clear cut and structured. It is not ad hocism that is there in this policy, but there is a clear cut road. By 2040, every aspect of this policy implemented. Now let me come to Mizoram, the apprehensions, the fears and apprehensions of small states. Our keynote speaker did touch upon like Sikkim, like Manipur or Nagaland, or for that matter, Mizoram. Because the theme of today's discussion is with respect to the special reference to Mizoram. As the keynote speaker has already highlighted, at present he spoke 27 colleges. I don't know, I may be wrong. I have my statistics. There are 21 government colleges. Sorry, interrupted. Anyway, it's coming soon. Maybe the internet issue is from my side or from your side, I don't know. Anyway, so what I meant to say is that these university under Mizoram University, these have only, some colleges have got less than 200 students. 7 colleges outside Aizawl have very low student enrollment, and there are 8 colleges offering 2 or more UG. I'm sorry, this is getting disrupted. Anyway, there are 9 private colleges where the student strength is less than 200. So obviously, this issue of multidisciplinary institutions or colleges having 3,000 student population seems to be a little bit, problematic. Okay, my internet is unstable. Anyway, so that is the problematic. When it is problematic, how to address that? To address that also, there is a clear mention of special education zone in those areas. I'm so sorry, it's getting disrupted. So to address the concern of this smaller colleges, smaller number of students, there is a provision in the education policy which should take care of the socio-economically disadvantaged areas or students or people. And in my opinion, I think these small states and smaller colleges, all these things can be, addressed without much of difficulty. Because I think many of you might be aware of, under this policy, this issue has been up. And I feel there would be not much difficulty in taking care of these issues. Another important aspect I would like to highlight here is that there was an interaction of the governors with the President of India. And I happened to be present in the governor's house at that time because the governor wanted the VC and PVC to be present there. And also the people from government also came, and they were expressing the apprehension about the local language, the language issue, to how to teach. Because as you are aware of the fact that up to 5th standard in the NEP, it is stated that children will be offered education in the local language. That's good. But for higher education, Mizo language is yet to develop to the status of a scheduled language. There's a lot of need to work how to develop this language. And having said that, I think this issue of language can also be tackled. And there should not be any apprehension that we will be forced to teach in Mizo only. No. I would tell you, I've been here for the last 17 years, you are aware of it. I've been telling my colleagues that why don't you develop your language? We can develop our language. How? By translating good works, by writing textbooks in Mizo language. Because the classics in English literature can be translated. The scientific literature, not all, the basic sciences can be translated. And that will take time. As you are aware of the fact that I've already stated that it will take up to 2040 to fully implement this policy. So in a span of 20 years, I hope the Mizo language will also grow to the extent of imparting higher education in Mizo language. And by then, of course, Mizo language would be part of the 8th schedule. So the apprehension of teaching in the local language or the apprehension of smaller colleges, all these things can be addressed at different levels. Not that this NEP is just a kind of imposition from above. Remember this is the only document which was prepared with a very rigorous debate and discussion across the country. It spanned for more than 3-4 years. Why 3-4 years? I think 5 years. And before this committee, there was another committee, Subramanian committee. That committee also did a lot of exercise, right down from the panchayat level up to the city level. Everywhere there was discussion about the issues, the problems, and the perspectives, typical perspectives of so the problems are there. The problem regarding funding is a major issue. Everybody raises the issue of funding, not Mizoram, across the country. And this can also be handled very easily because the policy document states very clearly that 6% of our GDP will be allocated for education. Now we have got less than 2%, just around 2%, 2 point something. So the issue of funding also can be handled because the policy document already states that they are going to allocate 6% of the GDP for education purposes. Here there is an important role for the respective state governments. The state governments have to be positive and proactive in implementing this policy, because as you all of you are aware that education is in the concurrent list. So there is the responsibility of the states as well as the central government to implement this policy. The action of my internet is causing me a little bit of disturbance. So the implementation of this educational policy has to be done with much care, and that the policymakers, the government, are aware of it. Right now, the UGC has appointed, not UGC, actually MHRD and UGC both have appointed 7 committees. And our Vice Chancellor is a member in one of the committees, Research and Innovation. There is a committee for infrastructure. There is a committee for, this, the Higher Education Commission and all the 4 verticals. So there are 7 committees which are now doing their brainstorming, and they are going to come up with their proposals, how to implement it. And each committee is consisting of minimum of 8 people, 8 eminent educationists, scientists across the country. So there are 56 to 60 people now engaged in implementing this policy. Before I close, I want to tell you another important dimension. Of course, it's nothing to do directly with higher education, but indirectly it has. The emphasis on mathematics. We in Mizoram are very weak in mathematics. And this actually, interestingly, this aspect has been emphasized for school education, language and mathematics. These are two important things. There is a particular paragraph dealing with that. And we in Mizo have to give importance now to the learning of mathematics. In higher education also, in the colleges, we do not have very good mathematics teaching facility in terms of teachers, in terms of student turnout, and very limited number of students graduate in mathematics honors and in what I want to speak is the state government has to at least take up this issue and see that science and mathematics, these two things, how it can be strengthened so that our children in Mizoram can also cope up with the national standards. Otherwise, we do not have an issue with regard to this national educational policy. Regarding infrastructure, regarding other factors, we'll have everything in place. As a Pro Vice Chancellor, I can also assure you that necessary steps taken in the direction, and we'll see that the state of Mizoram will be at par with other states in terms of implementing the national educational policy. I don't want to speak more because there are other speakers. I want to listen to them. I hope I might have dealt with many issues of the new education policy 2020. But I appreciate your patience, and I'm very sorry for the constant disruptions in my internet connection. So I wish all of you a successful webinar and a discourse. Of course, I'm not leaving now. I'll be here for a while. My best wishes to all of you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, so much for your great speech. That is indeed engaging and informative. I'm sure every participant thoroughly enjoyed and benefit from your presentation. I'd like to thank you once again, and we're looking forward to hear from you in the future as well. And uh, we truly regret to inform you that our guest of honor for today, Professor Mona Khare, could not make it to today's webinar due to personal reasons. As much as we'd like to have her with us today, she just mailed us earlier sometime and told us that there are some Okay. Uh, uh, Sorry for connection problem, so we are back again. So with regards to Professor Mona Kharesi recovery phase, so we wish your speed and quick recovery. So since there will not be any speaker, I'd like to open a discussion session for everyone present here today. Let us all feel free to share our ideas and knowledge about our topic today, which is National Education Policy 2020, Problems and Prospects with special reference to HEI in Mizoram. Okay, now I'll open the time for everyone present here. Internet is gone.
Let me ask the first question. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful speech. Very informative. Yet there are certain things that I still do not get properly. By the way, my name is Mark. I'm from the Department of English in Govt Saiha College. So why exactly there is a lot of agitation with regard to this particular policy, and why people are liking it as to its business approach and corporate cronyism and all that? Why is this thing happening? Thank you.
No, there are two things. Those people who do not know, they shout. Those who know, they talk. If you just go through this document, as I have already told you that there is a 63 document, it's not a big document. You will be amazed to, and particularly HEI for higher education institutions, very few paragraphs, and it is very clearly written that regarding this funding issue and linking up, for example, you talked about corporatization. I'll tell you that in the document it is very clearly stated that our students are going abroad for higher education. Now we will allow the top 50 institutions of the world to open their campus in the country. I'm not talking about this, but a very interesting thing. So when those campuses are coming to India, you see, they will have definitely have the all issues like funding, all these things. And there would be obviously linkages with industry. There is a need to have linkage with industry, because unless our students, their training are trained to be employable in the industry, there is no meaning of their education. I'll tell you, all our MBA graduates, all our engineers, those who are graduating, they do not have the necessary knowledge to fit into any industry. Then what happens, in the industry, they get the training, they get the knowledge, and they cope up there. And there is much of difficulty. Even our IT sector, I know many students who are best students in IT and computing. When they join the corporate sector, their knowledge would not be anyway relevant to that job. So what I mean to say here is, to answer your question, the corporatization of education or corporate education, all these things they will invest money in education. For example, in Mizoram University, we will have vocational BVOC and MVOC programs. Now government is funding those programs. Why should the government fund BVOC and MOOC program? If we want to produce web design graduates in web designing, let the IT company come and give funding and have our teachers trained and at all the same time the students trained so that web designing can be done. Or in pisciculture or weaving, we are offering a course on this weaving, BVOC course in Mizoram University. Commerce department is offering. But that, why should the government give 1 crore rupees, nearly 1 crore rupees central government will give in different phases. In any case, let me tell you, the corporate sector has already come through the back door. You cannot deny the fact that the corporates are not present in higher education. You may not have in for example, in Mizoram, we have one private university. We are having one private university in Mizoram, in a small state like Mizoram, where the population is over 10 lakh population. So you can imagine the presence of corporate sector or the private sector. And there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong because everything will be monitored. You don't think that the private sector will be, ripping off our parents or our students in terms of money, because the regulatory bodies are there. Now, they are using one phrase, light but tight. These regulatory bodies that are going to be put in place are going to be very tight. They are really light in the sense that they will not have much of regulation to the extent of cutting down your autonomy, but at the same time they will be tight. So light but tight. This within the quotes. I'm quoting the NEP document. So there should not be any apprehension about the corporatization of higher education system. It is in any way, it is already there. And among 1,000, around 800, 900 universities, there are so many private universities. And also, let me tell you again, that there are many private universities, institutions of excellence. UGC has recognized. Of course, there are some universities, there are a couple of universities which were greenfield universities, they got this institution of excellence tag. And they are at par with more or less international standards. And one thing again I want to tell, because there are no other speakers, so just let me speak. Whatever research we are doing, whatever output we have, unfortunately, we do not stand in the top 200 institutions of the world. Our IITs, our IIMs, they get in and get out of this 200 top universities. We're spending so much of money for those institutions. Here, there is a need to see that at least our students, our institutions stand at par with the international standards. Because you are aware of the fact that our students, our researchers, when they go abroad, they do well. Why do they do well over there? Why not over here? Because we do not have the necessary resources, do not have necessary infrastructure in place. And how to get those things? Despite the fact that so much money is being spent on these institutions. I'm talking about the IITs and IIMs and other institutions of eminence, or even central universities. We are trying to say, for example, Mizoram University ranks 67, and our vision is to be within 50. You see, in a span of 20 years, we have been struggling, and we have been able to do this position. This is not a matter of joke, because of our linkages with, we have got institutions, we have got, for example, in Mizoram University, we have got departments which have got so much of funding from Department of Biotechnology, from Department of Science and Technology, from ICSSR, Indian Council of Social and Research. We have got funding from UGC. And I would urge upon all our teachers here from Saiha College to apply for projects and do your research. Because from 2021, you see things are getting very complicated. The regulation 2018, UGC regulation 2018, would not allow anybody without PhD to enter into the university system. And also for career advancement, there are so many conditionalities attached. So for that reason, just I'm straying away from the question though. For that reason, we need to, work. We need to work hard. I will keep quiet so that others may have some questions and I can discuss.
Yes. I have a question, sir. Yeah, introduction. I'm
Yes.
Dr. T.B. Singh, Department of Education, Govt Saiha College.
Yeah.
Sir, you have spoken of the resolving the low enrollment issues. And in fact, due to the internet connectivity, we could not listen to you properly. So would you kindly repeat that part again, sir?
Regarding the enrollment issue? Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir. You have spoken about the special education zone also
Yes, yes.
to address the low enrollment, and due to internet connectivity, we could not listen to that part properly.
Yeah, okay. You see,
Yes, sir.
there is a provision within this NEP to address many issues. And I believe that this special education zone is meant for not only socially, economically disadvantaged people or communities. You see, Mizoram is a tribal state. It is a fifth scheduled state, a sixth scheduled state, where there are autonomous, Saiha is an autonomous district council. And Mizoram has Article 371G in the Constitution. These are the privileges that we have in Mizoram. And we can take advantage of these provisions and impress upon the central authorities to make use of this special education zone. And I'm sure there is no special mention about Mizoram or any other state, but this special education zone, and there they have to work out. Sitting here, I cannot tell that, what would be the exact number of students that would constitute a MERU. MERU means Multidisciplinary Education Research University, or MERU means MERU College, University College also. So there will be cluster colleges, and you are aware of that, how clustering of the colleges. And I've talked about the merger of colleges. You see, there are many colleges in Aizawl where the student population is less than 200. I'm talking about the private colleges. And what would be the status? And when you have the merger, you see your teacher strength will increase and the students will be benefiting. So there is a need to have a thorough revamp of the educational infrastructure and in education system in Mizoram, in line with the NEP 2020. So there should not be so much of an apprehension and so much of fear about the possible negligence or neglect for the people of Mizoram. No, I can assure you this. Of course, I'm not part of this thing, the NEP or the central government or anything. But when I go through this document, I find that there are so many avenues whereby we can make use of it and take advantage of it. And we will not be, and I assure you that nobody will be thrown out of any system. System will be, revamped, and that can be tailored according to the local needs. And there is also provision in that NEP they have stated very broad infrastructure ecosystem. And when it boils down to the brass tracks at the grassroots level, obviously there would be some kind of changes, tinkering of here and there. And I've already stated that there are 8 groups, 7 groups, 7 to 8 groups working with each group consisting of 8 experts, and they're working on it. So don't worry about that. Any other question or a discussion? Any observation also I would like to take?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm Professor Hannan.
Uh-huh.
I have one question, sir. Often we see in the document, NEP document, as well as in your speech also, we have heard that there will be flexibility for the students to opt their subject of choice. Supposing from chemistry, one can take even music, and this type of arrangements will be there in under the NEP 2020. But what's about the practicality? Whenever we see the present situation, like even in the traditional subjects also, we are not having sufficient staffs. So to what extent it is practicable, sir, especially in northeastern states like Mizoram? Please throw some light on it.
What I mean to say here is, you are not going to do it today or tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. They have got up to 2040. 20 years time. I think the target within 5 years, things will take shape. I don't say will change, will take shape. Okay. So already the colleges in Mizoram have tradition. And in Mizoram, there is no dearth of talent. Our Mizo boys and girls do not have any, issue with talent. They have the talent. The only thing is they have to channelize that talent. How you say, sir, in my college there is no music teacher. One of my students wants to join in music class. You may ask this question, very practical question. Now, Saiha College is the only college in the district, right? If I am correct. And it's a population of 40,000 population. And we have demarcated these districts for administrative regions and from other regions. Other regions means political regions, autonomy, all these things. But when it comes to education, why not we have an institution where we can have in between Saiha and Champai an institution with multidisciplinary research education institution where we'll have this facility. Then what happens, our students in Saiha, those who are interested to pursue music and chemistry, music and physics, or sociology and physics or mathematics, they can do it. So it would take time to take shape, but it is not difficult. It is not, impossible, in my opinion. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other speaker or any other questions? Observations I want to hear. Some observations.
Okay, I believe there are no more questions and no more discussions. So thank you so much, everyone, for your.
Wait a minute. I saw my student Stephanie. Where is Stephanie? Steffi. She was there. She may have some questions. I want to interact with her. Okay. Steffi, where are you?
Let's wait for her then.
Sir.
Yeah, where are you? Yes. You switch on your video.
Oh, okay. Sir, just wait, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
What is your opinion about this? You will ask me any questions.
what I want to ask is that with this new economic policy, do
Education
you
policy.
think- yes, new economic, no, education policy, I'm sorry. Do you think that the chance is higher for a quality education? And is it achievable for a higher quality education?
Obviously, the whole purpose of this education policy is to have high quality education. And as you have asked correctly, will we achieve it? Yes, we will achieve it, because we have no other option. Because the world is moving so fast, technologically, knowledge-wise. We have to cope up with them to become, a knowledge superpower. I've already spoken about India's target to become knowledge superpower by 2030 or 2040. So that people from different parts of the world will come to India and will have their education over here. Because I will tell you that in the education policy there is a mention about the ancient system of education, the institutions that were there, Nalanda and Tachashila, where people from across the globe used to come and have their education over here. So what I mean to say is that we have to regain our past glory. And this education policy is going to help us to regain our past glory.
Thank you, sir.
It's okay? Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Any one of my students, anybody else working over
Sir
there?
Lawrence is there. Sir.
Who?
Sir Lawrence is there.
Are Lawrence.
Proceed.
Are.
Yes, actually, I am waiting for our senior teacher to raise the questions.
Yeah, you switch on your video.
Yes, so actually, I have one question pertaining to your lectures today. So,
Yes.
sir, speak about the prospect of those teachers, assistant professors, not holding PhD degrees. So, what is going to be the scenario for the present incumbent assistant professors who are not holding PhD degrees in the days to come?
Lawrence, I want to tell you that the teachers have to work hard. They have to get their PhDs. They have to do their research. Unless they do these things, they cannot cope up with the changing scenario. And second thing, I told you already, I have highlighted a little bit that for your career progression, you have to have the publications, research publications in CARE journal, UGC CARE journals. You have to do publication in Scopus if there is some science student over here. I don't know whether science is there in Saiha College. Science subject is not there.
No. We don't have.
But for art students, I'm talking about minimum CARE publications, UGC CARE journals. You have to have public. You do not have publication, and don't think that the government of Mizoram is going to be very soft, because the government of Mizoram is also very much conscious about maintaining the quality. And gone are the days when there was so much of flexibility with regard to the earlier UGC regulation. Whenever I see the education secretary or education minister or anybody, I tell them that, sir, please try to implement the 2018 regulation. All of you can download that 2018 regulation from UGC website, and you will see what are the things that are required for you for your career progression. So what I mean to say here is, teachers, just read their old notes and dictate in the classroom. Those things will not work. Teachers have to read to teach. Teachers have to do research to teach. Then only you survive in this tough world. And it is not a big deal. See, you are all bright people. Lawrence was the gold medalist, and after that he actually did not pursue properly his higher education. So what I mean to say is, people have to work hard. And then only you can deliver the goods. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the participants? Please feel free to raise any questions or share your ideas. Okay, so I guess that is it for our discussion session. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking part in the discussion session. I think the discussion could go on and on had it not been for occasional connection problem. And I believe today's program would have been more successful if it is a seminar instead of a webinar, if you get me. So with that, we'll proceed on to our next program. I'd like to invite Sir N.G. Lawrence Zosia, Assistant Professor, Department of Pol Science from Govt Saiha College to take his time. So you may start now.
Thank you, Miss.
Sir, unmute.
Thank you, Miss Femina. Firstly, I, on behalf of Govt Saiha College, Saiha, render a wholehearted thanks to Almighty God for his affectionate love and care that today he has bestowed us with this peculiar and notable event, the first of its kind, which deserves uninterrupted mentioning. Secondly, my overwhelming thanks also goes to the chief guest, respected Sir Professor Jagdish Kumar Patnaik, the incumbent of tight schedules. His presence here is a testimony to show his generosity for Saiha Government College, Saiha. The theme NEP 2020 being dealt by him at large has been very much relevant, and perhaps it is at present a looming timetable in the discourse of Indian educationists and intellectuals, more particularly with the passage of the bill in the parliament by the present government at the center. Sir, the knowledge you have just shared with us are indeed contemplative, sharp, and insightful, which I believe would pave positive results and served an indelible purpose at great length with an in-depth magnitude to all the participants. Thank you, sir. Thirdly, respected Sir Professor Abdul Hannan Barbhuiya, Principal Govt Saiha College, Saiha, I profoundly thank him for organizing this unique blend of online seminar. I personally feel that it is a historic moment for this evolving college. Fourthly, Sir Dr. Thongchom Buddha Singh, HOD Department of Education, GSC, I thank him for the keynote address. And also Sir Mark, Assistant Professor, Department of English, GSC, I thank him for his wondrous role in providing technical assistance for today's Zoom. Of course, Ms. Femina Hlychho, Assistant Professor, Department of English, GSC, I thank her for such a stupendous piece of skill in hosting today's Zooming seminar function. Last but not the least, I, on behalf of Govt Saiha College, Saiha, once again extended enormous thanks to all those who have participated in today's Zoom webinar. I would like to end my vote of thanks speech by saying that thank you all, Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Principal Saab. Thank you very much, Lawrence. Thank you, Femina. Thank you, Steffi. Thank you, all my friends sitting here in this webinar. Thank you very much. Can I leave the meeting now? Can I leave the meeting?
Yes, sir. You may leave. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your presence.
Thank you for your presence, sir. Thank you so much.
So with that, we have come to the end of our program. Before we leave, I'd like to inform all the teaching faculty that there will be e-certificates available for you. In order to obtain your e-certificates, please kindly send your names to the Gmail address English Deptt. Okay, please excuse me, wait for me. Where? Okay, please kindly send your name to English Department gsc@gmail.com. Please allow me to repeat again. English Department gsc@gmail.com. Okay, with that we will end our program. Thank you everyone for participating and see you next time.